I'm David Weiss, and I'm the President and CEO of Global Communities, formerly CHF International. We've been around working in development for 60 years now. We just had our 60th anniversary year. And we've evolved from really a domestic U.S. organization working in low-income housing and low-income communities around the United States and forming cooperatives to exclusively an international development organization since 1992. We have worked in a variety of sectors and an expanding number of sectors, although traditionally we were the Cooperative Housing Foundation, and so housing, low-income housing was our focus. But as we've been expanding in our expertise and our qualifications and our experience, one of the areas in more recent years that we've increasingly put a focus on is agricultural development and rural development and livelihoods. We are and have been a nonprofit organization, but I really prefer to put the emphasis on the positive. Nonprofit is a negative term. It says kind of what we're not rather than what we are, and so I much prefer to call ourselves a for-impact organization. We are increasingly working with the private sector, and so, and very proudly so, and very successfully so, and so I don't also feel that there's a need to make that distinction between for-profit and nonprofit. Well, Cracking the Nut Africa is, I think, an important means and forum to bring together a variety of people and organizations to share common experiences, to talk about successes and failures. You know, we can all learn from what hasn't worked. We can all learn from each other in terms of new kinds of innovations in the marketplace, ways to bring things like technology to bear on rural development. And so we think that Cracking the Nut is a very important forum, and we're very proud to be able to host them in Rwanda. I think, first of all, there are a lot of sort of external environmental challenges that all of us in this field face. Working in conflict and post-conflict environments presents a whole unique set of challenges. Climate change presents a whole unique set of challenges, whether it's, you know, a drought in Sudan or floods in Rwanda. But I think more to the point in agriculture, even aside from those external kinds of challenges, we face the challenge of low productivity, low levels of capacity, and those in turn are challenges in terms of education, in terms of finding new kinds of technologies, access to finance, access to agricultural inputs. These are all the kinds of challenges that we're facing. And I think in trying to address those challenges, it's important for us to better leverage our compatriots in the private sector. Again, I feel that as a for-impact organization, there's a lot that we share in common with private sector organizations who have a vested interest in rural development in Africa and elsewhere in the world. And when you cut through everything, ultimately what we're about is working in local communities around the world. That's where it all starts and that's where it all ends, regardless of what sector or what issue you're trying to tackle. It's all about engaging the local communities. One of the things that we have found in our programs in Rwanda and elsewhere in Africa, but I'll refer specifically to our AZMJ program in Rwanda, is when we are dealing with livelihoods in rural communities, there's lots of different factors that come to bear, but there are gender issues that we're grappling with. Access to credit has been a big issue, whether it's forming little savings and loans and co-ops. Youth is another big factor. I mean, all over the world, a burgeoning youth population. And how do we find ways to, for youth to be become productive, members of the economy. All of these are issues that come to bear in the rural economies that we're talking about at this conference. We're always looking for new partnerships, as are other organizations, and I think, again, in a conference setting like Cracking the Nut, it's conducive to that. You learn about each other. And I think to put a spotlight on agricultural development in Africa, and in this case in Rwanda specifically, but I think a lot of what will come out of the conference in Rwanda can be applied sort of region-wide to the continent. So we're very proud to be part of Cracking the Nut Africa. We hope that all of you will be able to join us in Kigali, Rwanda, and we look forward to having you there.